Good morning, my friends. It is Kate from Rituals to Rise over at Agent Rising. And our purpose of being here at 6:30 in the morning on these gorgeous dark days outside is because we want time and money freedom. We want to create the life that we want, and we want to build the business of ourselves. And so we want to work, and we're here. And the whole idea is that we are going to we've got to next level our business, right? So that is actually what I want to talk about today. And on Upleveling Day, I always try to find some messages from someone else that is what I'm thinking of. Maybe they've put out a new book. Maybe they've got some new kind of cool things going on. And the person that I want to talk about today is Simon Sinek. And he's the person who, hit the ground with his book, Start With Why. And the whole idea about why are you doing your business? Why are you doing whatever you're doing? And so you got to start with that why before you can figure out how or what, right? So he's written many books. He's considered a prolific thought leader of our times. And his most recent book is called The Infinite Game. And the idea being that if we can understand that it's infinite, like things are changing, it's going to be going on, and there's no end to our game, which is our business, our life, then we can adapt accordingly. And so some of the things that he said, and I'm just going to kind of look at my little list that I made because I wanted to do this justice, because I didn't really have good language for infinite versus finite. And so his point is, it's not a game with a final clock. It is an infinite game. This is business. And the biggest implication that the business people need to play a very long game and pretty much ignore the next quarter is all that matters. Are game plans that are way too many leaders follow, right? So they say the short games will likely end with only short gains, and aim for the infinite game. So they talk a lot about, if you're only training people for that next step and not for the long game, then they're only going to be gratified, and they're only going to be achievement oriented to that game. The other thing he talked about was the idea and the element of team, and that we are all in it together. And when we help each other out, even cooperating agents, we get into the long game versus being the short game only. And I think about this when we talk with one another, when we are working with one another, the respect of giving emails and feedback and staying in touch with things, and honestly being good team members, even on the other team, right? So the cooperating agent from somewhere else, or keeping the people involved, and really treating it like it is it's a long game. And so anyways, I love the idea of the infinite versus finite. And, I did a talk yesterday with the Pennsylvania RRC group. And in it, I was talking about nimble versus fickle, right? So, this pandemic has given us all pause for really, really rethinking what we're doing, how we're doing it, what's going on. And when I was telling them the difference between nimble and fickle is, we know our big why. In this case, as Simon says, start with why. So we've done some exercises, even that one I talked about last week, where we, for the next year, where we did all of the positive things and all the negative things, going through our whole schedule, what brought us energy, what took our energy away, and working toward that, right? So we're on that track, you and I, right? This is the Rituals to Rise team. And so we're on that track. So now that we have this big why, and now we have a whole bunch of different rules, maybe accelerated from the pandemic, and maybe caused from the pandemic, or maybe caused from the internal change that happened to us because of the pandemic. Whatever it is, things have changed. So your big why is probably still the same. That might be being able to send your kids to college, being able to retire, being able to be comfortable in something, being able to provide for your family, be able to, whatever it is, right? Whatever your big why is, maybe being able to help people, whatever it is. So that doesn't change. How we get there does. And so we are nimble, right? We are adapting. We're saying, okay, if I'm doing a CMA today, I have to make sure that there's an electronic component to it. So different things like that. So making sure that we're nimble, that trim tab on a boat that turns it dramatically, even though it might only just be a little change in that little turn, right? But it's a big change that happens. So being nimble and understanding that the way I've always done it may not work anymore, or may not be the best way to do it anymore, and identifying that versus fickle being like, oh, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try that, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try that, and like running in a million different directions, but not really doing the legwork of one foot in front of the other. And I think about a lot of times as a manager and as a leader, when people would come and say, I'm going to try this, and then didn't work in 2 days, I'm going to try this. And I'm like, you got to stop. You got to think about your big why, your infinite game, your infinite where you want to go, right? What you want for yourself. And again, back to that exercise. What came off your list? What's on the don't do list now? Don't forget about that don't do list. Super important don't do list. And again, back to our infinite game, we're going to work ourselves toward that. We have a whole bunch of new tools in our toolkit, like Zoom, like video, like thank you notes, getting back to thank you notes, like little gifts that you can leave. And we call them what? We call them ding dong ditch, right? You leave the little gift and you get out of there, right? So all of those things. And we want to make sure that we're thinking about that infinite game. That means we are not competing against each other. Even if you in a little way are, like, think about it. Like, if I'm competing against someone, if the only way that I win is if they lose, okay, then that is not going to get us that infinite game. Right. So anyway, I hope that this is helpful. I don't think I did it justice. I really don't. I want you to go take a peek, Google Simon Sinek, look at his stuff. What are the things I do when somebody interests me? And actually I heard him on a podcast with Brené Brown, and that's where I started thinking about him. Is Google him and then say summary, like Simon Sinek summary. And his summary books will come up, and you can go through and read the main points, see if it's something that resonates with you, and then dig a little deeper. He also has a podcast. I just actually subscribe to it because I love his message, and I love his thought about how we can do this and what we can do. And I don't know, it inspired me, and it's going to up-level my game for sure. Alrighty, my friends, I hope that you have an amazing day. Please comment anything that you have questions or something that resonated with you, something that gave you a little nugget or aha today. I would love to hear it. And I so appreciate you being here with me, and I will see you tomorrow.